Hey there. Hello. How do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. Thank you for coming. It's the 80s, darling. Yes. It is 1983, June. And oh boy, that summer went fast. It is June 1983, and I am in rehearsal for Gemini. Now it is June 1983, and I am in rehearsal for The Fantastics. Now it is July 1983, and they are in rehearsal for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I'm not in that one. And now it is July 1983, and we are in rehearsal for Daddy's Gone Home to Mother in Heaven. Yes, a comedy, a world premiere comedy about Mormons. Yes. Well, so first of all was Gemini. I played the kid, the guy in the lead, Francis, somebody who's worried about whether or not he's too fat and or too gay. And in the course of the play, it turns out he's really not that fat and really not that gay. It's a win-win situation no matter what. Yeah. Next show is The Fantastics, in which I worked with my brilliant friend, Larry, a formidable actor and a great friend. And he lived several alternative lifestyles, all rolled into one. Yes, he was an experienced individual at mind bending uh, substances. Yes. So we smoked a lot of reefer together and drank a lot of booze. It was a great deal of fun. I enjoyed his company and he enjoyed mine. We had so much fun running lines together. When we would rehearse on our own, we would just break each other up the whole time and get our lines learned for the most part, too. It was a lot of memorization that summer. I'm here to tell you. And, you're in 3 shows. You got 3 shows worth of stuff to cram into your tiny, worried head. Yes. But my mind was pliable back then. I was 23 years old. And the synapses all still fired. I was very lucky, as a matter of fact, in my career as an actor, how I was able to commit amazing chunks of dialogue into my head in pretty short order. Yeah, I was very lucky. I considered that a lucky gift that I could memorize very quickly a lot of the stuff. Now, so Gemini was the first one, and that was an amazing set. That was 2 backyards of 2 houses in Philadelphia, right? And there's lawn. There was 2 backyards, and they each had a porch, and they each had a lawn, and there was a picket fence and a little tree in the yard too. It was really amazing. And this was in 3/4 round, so that means there's audiences on 3 sides, and the show, the set is upstage. Yes. And they had this amazing set crew, and obviously it's an amazing set of designers to design these sets to be taken up and put up and taken down in true repertory. So we would do 2 shows in a weekend. We'd do a couple of performances of Gemini, then we'd do a couple of performances of the Fantastics, and they would come in after the show was over, rip down the set and put up the new one and get over to the bar before the bar closed. This was a team of professionals. Really great. All the actors would be over at the local watering hole, and then when the tech crew showed up, at around midnight or so, it only took them about an hour to switch over from one set to the other. The third set was Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which was in 3/4 round also. They were all 3/4 round. audience on three sides. What am I saying? Yeah, they all were. And Cat on a Hot Tin Roof um, didn't have any walls or anything like that. It just took place um, in Brick's bedroom. So there's a bed over there, there's a chair over there, there's Maggie's vanity over there, and that was a relatively uncomplicated one because it was just furniture and a nice rug or a nice couple of rugs. And the last one was Daddy's Gone Home to Mother in Heaven, a comedy about Mormons. And it was a working kitchen with running water and cupboards and a stove over there. The stove didn't actually bake, but it looked like it could. Everything was just it was running water. You know how difficult that is in the theater to do that without flood everywhere? Oi, oi, oi. It was brilliant work. It really was. We'd be over at the bar and they'd show up. We're done. it was it was very exciting. And So we had all four shows we rehearsed them. We had to rehearse them in tandem with each other because we were going to run them in tandem. Yes. So we would have a rehearsal for Gemini. Then the next night we'd have a rehearsal for Fantastics, and so on. We didn't start rehearsing Daddy's Gone Home to Mother in Heaven right away because that opened later. Yeah, and things like that. We opened with Gemini. First weekend was all Gemini. The next week was Gemini and the Fantastics. And the next week was Fantastics and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. The next was Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Daddy's Gone Home to Mother in Heaven. I'm sure we mixed it up a little bit more like that, more than that. But it was amazing that this set crew could switch it out in a matter of moments, it seemed like, and have a fresh set. Great. So the summer went on like that, quick as a wink. And I was making friends with the locals, making friends with my New York bring ins. And the locals had a bunch of interesting offbeat weirdos. And of course, I immediately gravitated to them. One of the actors in the company, named Annie, was one of the weirdos of Terre Haute, Indiana. And she knew where to go to find the other weirdos. There was an old woman who was named Madeline Manson. Yes, long may her star still be shining. Yes. She was a local eccentric, shall we say. She had a tree growing through the middle of her kitchen. In her house, an actual tree growing out above the house and everything, a tree growing in her kitchen. Yes, and she had built around it inside the kitchen 4 walls so that you could shut the door because it would be winter for portion of the year. And you don't want just this hole in your ceiling. So she had these 4 walls with a little side door inside her kitchen that she could step out and tend to whatever wildlife, because there were birdies that came and went and everything. A kitchen tree. It was amazing. So anyhow, not only did she have a tree in her house, she hosted full moon howls. Every full moon, she would invite all the weirdos from the neighborhood over to her place, and there would be a informal party hanging around with all the weirdos, all the punks, all the rockers, all the goths, all the theatrical hangers on, and the like. And every hour on the hour, on the night of the full moon, Madeline would lead the chorus of the party in a chorus of Howling at the Moon. She would start it off in a beautiful contralto, ow, and then other people would join in, ow. And there's 20 of us or 30 of us, most of us in our 20s, but also some other weirdos, a little bit more grown up. It was a fantastic gathering every time. And we would be at the show. So we would miss the 8 o'clock and the 9 o'clock and the 10 o'clock howl because we were over at the theater. But we'd always make the 11 o'clock. And the best one, of course, was the midnight howl. Yes. And that was one of the great groups of individuals that I met. We went back for the June and for the July because it was like the 27th of June, and same thing late in July was the July full moon howl, and by August the summer was over, and so we missed out on the August full moon howl with Madeline Manson and her gang. Yes, that was a group of lovely eccentrics. At one point, one of the other fun things that we did, a group of us young people, we were young, we were filled with energy, and we went over to the local quarry, which was filled up with water, and somebody suggested, let's go in. So we went skinny dipping in the quarry. In the quarry water, and we're swimming around and everything like that. It was idyllic. It was a bunch of naked teenagers jumping in and out of the water. Well, not teenagers, 20 somethings, excuse me. Yeah, we were all in our 20s. Um, and the worst thing about swimming in the quarry water was going back there a couple of days later and looking around saying, yes, we were here the other night. We were all jumping in the water. And you look in the water and you say, ooh, we swam in that? Ooh. In daytime, it didn't look as nice as it did in the middle of the night when you were filled with excitement and booze. Ooh, anyhow, anyhow. So we did all these shows, and I was a working actor, and it was so great. We got interviewed by the local television. Very briefly, we did a scene from Gemini in the local TV studio, and then they asked us about, yes, well, what's it like being an actor in the world? Oh, and you're from New York, too. And I'm like, well, actually, I'm from Detroit, but yes, I'm from New York, too, I guess. And so we were local celebs. I went over to one of the restaurants, and a very cute young individual behind the counter said, I saw you on TV the other day. And you're like, well, please, please, my dear, it's no big thing at all. I'll just have my mashed potatoes. Thank you. So, and Larry and I uh, did a lot of carousing together. Yes. Um, and he had his friend Alice come in from out of town for a visit, and everybody was staying in dorm rooms. So and there was extra dorm rooms. It was summertime. There was nobody there. We had the whole building basically to ourselves. So Alice got her own little dorm room when she came to visit Larry, right? And he's got this delightful story about when he and Alice were younger. This is a story from Larry. He says, we were in New York City bar hopping. He says, we had been drinking, and we had smoked a couple of joints, and we had each taken a couple of Percodans. So we were pretty well fucked up by the time we got over to this one bar called Dan Lynch's. It was a great jazz blues dive. So we went into Dan Lynch's and went up to the bar, Alice and I, and we sat down at the stools, and we each ordered martinis. And so the bartender put the martinis down, and Alice picked hers up and shot it back in one bolt. Boom! And when she did, she kept on going all the way back and landed flat on her back, wham, on the floor. Well, the bartender and I are stunned into silence, and she gets up very quickly, very gingerly. And with all ladylike composure, she straightened herself out, and she said, Bartender, whatever did you put in my cocktail? So that was Larry and Alice telling their story about Dan Lynch's. And I made a mental note. I've got to find this Dan Lynch's in New York City at some point. Yes. Anyhow, All good things come to an end, and the summer eventually did come to an end. And I'll tell you what happened with the end of this summer next time. Meanwhile, thank you for your watching. Thank you for subscribing. But you must tell everyone you know about this podcast. Yes, and share it out to your friends who want to come along on this journey with us. I've been having so much fun with you, and I look forward, as ever, to seeing you next time.